But Blick that is such a headbanger of a hip hop song, but not in the violent, like JPEG Mafia, Danny Brown type of way.
Yeah.
This is like the cool head nod. Like, I don't need to have dreads for this, but I can still bang my head to this. Latto might be influencing me to carry a gun. Because hearing her on Blick I was like, if you don't hear the song and you want to be this man that Latto's talking about, I can't relate to you. So, Latto, you do what you're supposed to do on that one. Good afternoon, beautiful people. This is another episode of Album Mode. We review a new album every single week. We look at the lyrics, the production, the overall aesthetic of the album, and how the album fits into the context of that artist's career. For everyone watching on YouTube, make sure you like this video, share it with your people, and of course, leave us a comment and let us know how wrong we always are. My name is Adriel Smiley, aka AdrielSmiley.com, aka Adriel Smiley Official, aka The Godfather. We're here with His Royal Highness, aka The Bunny, aka The Munch, King Grant.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back, people. We're here with Latto and Sugar Honey Iced Tea, her latest album, where the artist, she's from Atlanta, one of those people that is obviously bubbling from the scene of Atlanta. Atlanta, probably, maybe we in the future have to talk about the most important cities in hip hop, because Atlanta over the past probably 15 years has been rising the ranks. And Latto is one of those people that has burst out of it as well. So Sugar Honey Iced Tea, Latto, one of those artists that I have actually heard, I think, all of her music.
Oh, wow.
If you can believe that, yeah.
Wow.
I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago, she was having a bit of a moment and I wanted to catch up. I just wanted to hear, what's the deal? Why is everybody into this artist? I knew, and I also knew her when she had a different name.
Yep.
A different name that we will, let's maybe not reference on the spot, but she had a different name. And I went back and listened to all her music. I was like, okay, I could get it. I think that I think she had like an EP that was like her early EP that I really liked. And then she started to galvanize. Like, this was before, I want to say, like, Queen of the South, right? So yeah, Queen of the South, which was in 2020.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, this is okay. I get it. I see what's happening here. Some interesting music. She's a little in your face. Getting a Lil Kim vibe off of her.
Okay.
Right? Lil Kim and like Eve. It's giving me a lot of want to punch somebody out, right? So I think that Latto's been somebody I've been interested in for basically her entire career. And we're finally here talking about her latest album. So I'm hyped for this, actually.
I put Latto in that group of artists. I think Ice Spice is in this. A couple people we've reviewed this year in this, where basically they came to prominence over the pandemic. Yeah. Maybe we knew who they were before, but they're a much bigger name in the culture since the pandemic than they were before the pandemic. And I think those artists are always interesting to me because that was a time when even some of the biggest artists were taking time off. Okay, we're not dropping any albums. This pandemic is happening. And artists like Latto really stepped in at that time. Like you mentioned, she is from Atlanta. I would say kind of the top female MC from Atlanta. And this is her third studio album. I became more familiar with her on the last project, 777. I heard some singles before, but 777 was the first project that I said, let me listen to that one in full. And that project really is what kind of gave me an idea of her in terms of where she stands in the culture. She has a bunch of features on that project, 21 Savage, Lil Durk, Nardo Wick. And I said, oh, like, she's with the street niggas. And that has remained on this project. So I think this is a great one for us to start with from Latto because, spoiler, this might be her best project she's ever dropped. And I feel like this is one thing I gotta start from the top is I did not know she had this in her. Okay. Now, I was aware of her. I knew some of her singles, but in terms of her being an album artist, I did not know what to expect. And I think that, especially after the name change, the scene for female MCs has been very open, we'll call it. I think, Nicki is cemented. No one's really catching her at this point. Doja Cat is more in the pop rap lane and seems to be cemented. Megan Thee Stallion is on some treacherous waters right now.
So for you,
Treacherous Waters right now. She's
Allegedly.
still successful, but I think the grip that Meg had on the culture 3 years ago, obviously not the same grip she has on the culture today. So I feel like Latto's kind of stepping into that space of, okay, there's a space for someone to step in. Who can it be? And it seems like she's ready to take that role.
Hold on a second. When did WAP come out? That was like 2018.
No, WAP is like 2020, 2021.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So no, it's probably like 2019 or something like that.
WAP was during the pandemic, so I'll check for you. But
she's been around. Meg's been around for a while. So to say she's on Treacherous Waters, I'm like, what are we talking about? But also,
Meg is still successful. But I think Meg was kind of in her own class at a time. I think she's kind of in the class with a bunch of people at this point. So
I think people have caught up. People have definitely caught up
exactly. So Treacherous Waters is not saying she's gonna fall off. Like she's not Trinidad James or anything. Like I'm not worried about her career. But I would say going from, Rookie of the Year type career and you're winning Grammys and you're beside Beyonce to now everyone's around you, I don't think we saw that coming.
Yeah, that's
few years
true.
ago.
I think that Latto is part of
WAP is 2020.
Okay. So I think that Latto is part of this contingency of women in hip hop that have emerged. Like I think we talked about this years ago, where we're like in a golden age of female MCs in hip hop, where it used to be one. Lil Kim, then it was like, we're done with Lil Kim, now we're doing Eve, right? And like before all of that, it was like Missy Elliott. Like we're talking about like, it was one at a time. One at a time, maybe two.
I think in that era, it was like you maybe had a moment, but I think having like a project and a run from a female MC was not as common. Like Eve had some big songs, Foxy had moments, Missy I think was the only one who really had like full projects that people stuck to, and of course got to include Lauryn Hill, even though it's an R&B album. But I think you're right. We're in a place now where multiple people are prominent at the same time, interacting with each other. There's like, there's like a cadre of people happening who are not happy with. I feel like none of them like each other. Like even on this album, Latto is taking. It seems to me Latto is taking snipes at Ice Spice. Yeah, she's talking about Ice Melts. Saying not
Isis.
Just Ice Spice. Yeah, there's a few.
Shout out to Myself. Probably one of my favorite songs of hers. Which did that sound like a timestamp Drake song to you?
So let's start right there, because that's literally the first sentence I have in my notes about production. I thought the first time I heard it, I said, this sounds like a timestamp Drake record. Her and Drake obviously have this new record out right now, so her and Drake together is kind of on the mind. Yeah. But listening to it more, you know what it actually sounds like? It really reminds me of Song Cry from Jay-Z. And I think that we have never put those together of these Drake timestamp records are similar to Song Cry. But listening again, I'm like, it sounds more like Song Cry than a timestamp record. But again, we're in 2024. I think Drake is probably the closer person to compare that to. Yeah. But I was very impressed of her having that on there. And I think that as the outro, I was like, yeah, like this really ties everything together, because that song in itself is not like crazy production-wise. The beat is pretty slow. The sample, almost basic sample chop, going back to the Kanye days. Yeah, it's very nostalgic. It's got this very like reminiscing and stuff like that. But she's like rhyming self with myself, yourself, self, a lot of self. And I'm like, this is how Drake, when he's doing the rap, like I just couldn't shake that image from my mind. I'm like, this is a Drake. It was giving 6 p.m. in New York. Yeah. Drake production style. And I'm not saying like it's terrible. I think she was her voice and like again her projection of voice is like there's a lot of more grit. Like she's like more angry. No, angry is maybe the wrong word, but there's a lot more of like more, I would say more assertiveness. Yeah, she's borderline aggressiveness. Yeah, right. Where Drake is much more laid back and relaxed when he raps, right? So she's still making that style her own, but it was very much like, this is a Drake song. We're doing Drake timestamps, and I want to give her credit for that, because when I realized, I'm like, okay, this is a Drake timestamp record, and then I said, you know what, this is more like Song Cry. I said, Drake might be a genius. Because Drake doing Song Cry every album, it's like, how did we not see that? Because when Song Cry came out, it was a huge deal. Yeah. Jay's being vulnerable. Look what I'm talking about his life. And Drake, again, is vulnerable on the timestamp records. We get one basically every year. And so it's the idea of like taking one of the biggest rappers, one of his most notable records, and just redoing it over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. I was like, how did we not see the play that he did right there? And why I like Shout Out to Me is because we've talked about Meg Thee Stallion on this podcast, a bunch of different female rappers, and she has a few songs on here that I'm like, you're channeling different artists. She has a few songs where I'm like, okay, this is this person over here. This is this person over here. I think why this song stands out is because rappers, period, are not doing timestamp records. That's not like a thing every rapper does. I would love to hear every rapper try and do it. I think that would actually be interesting. There's a lot of rappers who their tone and their delivery would sound better on a timestamp record. But why it stood out is because how many of the albums from female artists have we listened to where there's a record like this on there? And I think in terms of place at the right spot as being the outro, talking about things which I have in lyrics that it's like, these are things that you want to hear them talk about. This is like, again, the Drake version of, you talked a bunch about everything else in the rest of the project. Let's hear about the other stuff. So she does that well. So I think this alone, and there's more that's great on this project, but this song alone, from the production to the lyrics to the placement on the project, sets her apart. Because men, women, however you identify, we're not seeing a lot of rap albums with this on there.
Yeah, that's true. I think the last time somebody did something like this was one of Drake's proteges. Mm-hmm. The name is slipping me right now. Why can't I? The white dude that I cannot remember.
Jack Harlow?
Jack Harlow. I don't know why the name has slipped me.
He did an album.
But he did an album, yeah. Right? So I think there are people who are like descendants of Drake, and we talked about descendants of Drake. The R&B. Remember that R&B album? What was it? Summer Walker, I think?
Yeah.
Where she did a whole R&B album that I'm like, yo, this sounds just like Drake's music. Mm-hmm. So I think there are descendants of Drake's music. And it was just interesting to hear a song that was going for the timestamp version of Drake, because what we assume as people who are descendants of Drake or like Drake influence are those who are melding hip hop, like the rapping and singing. So we're talking about like your Juice WRLDs, Post Malone, stuff like that. But it's very rare where you're like, oh, this person raps like Drake, right? Where there's like a Jack Harlow and now Latto would be like, oh, this is really interesting for a person to take the rap portion. This is like the more, this is the part that's kind of like left behind when we're talking about influence of Drake. So I just thought that was like a really interesting situation. But so we're talking about the end. At the very beginning, Georgia Peach, I'm like, this sounds like a Drake song as well. Right? I thought that the production style where it's basically like these very like elongated like synths. It's very lots of space, right? Lots of space for your rapping. And I'm like, oh, she's doing it right as it started. I'm like, oh, because I heard before even listening to this album, I heard and read people saying, oh, this is like an OVO influence, or this is OVO Latto. And I was like, oh, wow, I wonder why people said that. And as soon as you pop on Georgia Peach, you're like, oh, okay, I see it now.
Her Tuscan leather.
Yeah.
I you know what's, I think in most cases, that would be something that we would say is a bad for the project, of like, we see who you're copying, it's so obvious, someone you're aligned with as well. But I think those two songs, like bookending this, is like, you can't do the timestamp record if you can't rap. Right. And I thought about that of like, Latto I think is very underrated as a lyricist this period. And to be able to pull that off, she's sort of like, listen, like I could do the fun stuff, but I can actually rap here. And I throw back to when we did the Meg review, and we talked about Meg is in the logic zone, where it's like rapping fast is rapping well. Latto is not there at all.
Yeah.
Like, Latto can give you whatever tempo you want, whatever flow you need. And I think those kind of flexes of, listen, I could really rap, and I'm going to find a way to show y'all that's not the trap, pop shit. The song that really, this is one of the biggest songs from this project, but had to mention it, Blick some.
Oh, okay. Wow, you're skipping Big Mama. Big Mama was a big song for me.
Big Mama is great. Nothing wrong with Big Mama.
Yeah.
But Blick some, I think the tempo on that, and the way the hi-hats are on that is like, that is such a headbanger of a hip-hop song, but not in the violent, like, JPEG Mafia, Danny Brown type of way.
Yeah.
This is like the cool head nod. Like, I don't need to have dreads for this, but I can still bang my head to this. But this song, what I wrote in my notes for this one, and I feel like I'm gonna stand by this is, you know how Future is known for influencing young men to do drugs? Latto might be influencing me to carry a gun. Because hearing her on Blick I was like, if you don't hear the song and you want to be this man that Latto's talking about, I can't relate to you. So, Latto, you do what you're supposed to do on that one.
Yeah, I liked her verse. On the second verse, there was one part that she, I think that you can tell that she is either a student of hip hop overall, considering the Drake influences, but there's also in the second verse where she's like, I love her drummer boy, bum bum. I'm like, Missy Elliott. I saw it. I see you. I see you, you know, like nobody, I can't even think of another person that uses bum bum in their music except for Missy Elliott. So just to see her do that, I'm like, she's paying attention. Real attention here.
She's a real hip hop head. Like, I think that is what I learned from this project. It's like, there's the fun raps, there's the trap shit, there's the pussy raps as well. But I think
your favorite.
My favorite, of course. My favorite subgenre in hip hop, the pussy raps. But I think she's shown here, it's like, no, like, include me in this hip hop period. Like, don't put me to the side. Put me in the middle. Like, I can hang with anybody.
Yeah.
Big Mama.
That's one of my favorite tracks. Another big Drake influence. This is in the verse. I guess I'm doing the I don't know. I'm kind of doing both at the same time here. But in the verse where she's like, love your ass in the worst way that you hit on the first day. What you gonna do for Big Mama for real? What you gonna do for my birthday? 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 You gotta put it in some work today, right? That repetition of birthday, hopefully we'll insert the sound for the audio clip here, is like, that is a Drakeism. The repetition of that one line, right? The question, what you gonna do for my birthday? That's a Drakeism. That question repeated, and then have an answer at the end of it. That was another Drakeism. So I'm like, the Drake influence is hot and heavy, which I did not really expect from her music. I didn't think that she was really a Drake head, right? So
she's a woman from Atlanta. If you've listened to Drake enough,
it just seeps in.
And then the second half, like, taking it to another level, like having a 2-part song like that.
Yeah, that was a her lost beat flip, bro.
No, but also it's like, how many times have we seen a rapper have the first half sound like the first half sounded, and then do the second half? Like, when we see 2 beats from a rapper, we're not usually getting this kind of 2 beats. Like,
yeah, what does it sound like? Give me the first one.
The first one I have in here, and this could go on our playlist.
Yeah.
This is PS2 drill.
Yeah, like PS1 drill.
My apologies.
Yeah.
PS1 drill.
Ash Bex. Sounds like Ash Bex.
Yeah, and I think, like, what I compare this to is, like, there's very, very few rappers that do this beat switch successfully. And 2 of the guys who do it a lot are 2 of the biggest rappers of all time. So to me, I think she's almost headed in that direction because both sides slap. Both sides have their own vibe. Both sides slap. The 2 I'm thinking of is Travis Scott and Drake. And when they do the beat switch, you're excited. Like, you're like, okay, a beat switch is coming. Let's get it.
Yeah.
And I think Big Mama, to me, is that. And that's a lot of people's favorite song on here. So executed well.
Yeah, I like that song a lot. I think that, again, the beat switch and the type of beat switch to, like, what it sounds like, to go from, like, again, that PS1 drill that we're talking about to, like, this, like, really heavy trap beat with, like, the keys, the really ominous keys that Drake and 21 Savage really like. Again, it was like, it really reminded me of Her Loss big time. What else is here on production that was really interesting to me? I think that there was one song that I can tell you that I didn't like production wise.
Let's hear it.
There She Go. The Mike Jones flip. First of all, it's basically the exact same beat, but then her hook for it is like, there she go. Like, it doesn't, not the same verve. Like,
I'm not with you on that one.
You don't like that track?
Yeah, I like There She Go.
I think the production, that song, what was it, back then, right? The production for it, like what it actually sounds like, it's incredible. It's probably one of Mike Jones' best songs. But I think her flip of it on top of the production, like what she was actually doing, like it's not super in the pocket, not super rhymey. Like it doesn't have the fluidity that the rest of her music does and Mike Jones' music does. So I think that's why that was a problem for me.
There She Goes is, to me, feels like the one that comes on the party and all the women are just rapping all the words.
Maybe.
That's what that one gives me. I have a couple more for production before we really get to lyrics. Ear Candy with Coco Jones. I
didn't like that song either.
Yeah, I think that's like a true R&B song through and through.
Yeah.
And Latto is seamless on that. Like,
you think so? Yo, we're on a different wavelength again because I thought that was the weakest track by far.
I don't know. It's not one of my favorites on here, but because I think the other stuff is better. Mm-hmm. But I think like she doesn't sound out of place at all. It's not like I want someone else to rap on this. Like, like Ear Candy's not going to sound as good as Big Mama. Like, obviously.
But you know what? I think I liked Look What You Did better, which is another R&B song. But I think that the more of like this, like, is Maria the Scientist, and like this SZA like lane of like it's really slow. And they almost rap themselves. So there's already like a space for rapping on their music. Makes a lot more sense to me. I thought it sounded really good.
I like that one too. I think you're right in your assessment because if those were both just R&B songs, Look What You Did is a better R&B song. Right. So I think as a collab, they're both good, but I like that type of R&B more than the other type of R&B. One where she's really, I don't want to say she's really copying, but it really reminded me of someone, was H&M. I was like, this is a Doja Cat song.
Yeah, she has a lot of Doja Cat influences as well. Yeah. So now that we're talking about this, there's so many influences to her music.
Yeah.
Is she surviving the influences or the influences like enveloping her? Or is she like does she stand out enough as her own to be like, these are influences I stand on top of versus somebody like Tory Lanez where I'm like, this guy's wearing a cloak of the influences.
I think she does because I think that...
Wait, she does what?
She does stand alone with these influences because I think her tone and the way she raps is not like these other people.
Right. And
I think like you're getting it a little bit different. Even if it's not all the way different, even there she go, I'm like, she raps different from all these people. And I think because she actually can rap, it's like her voice as an instrument can stand on its own.
Okay.
And so the dressing around it of, you know, mimicking Drake or mimicking Doja Cat just makes it more palatable.
Okay.
And I really kind of call it akin to what DJ Khaled does, where every album there's like a popular sample in there that we've heard a million times. Like, hey, y'all like the sample? It's going to work. She's doing that, but in a more covert way. Not always with the sample we recognize, but with a sound that we recognize. And I think having that sound we recognize, sound that we already know we like, is a great way to go.
Okay. Yeah, I think that, I don't know, I asked that question genuinely because I'm not really fully sure, because sometimes when the influencer is so obvious, I'm like, can you exist outside of it? And I think that she's kind of becoming like this chameleon in a way that Drake is like similarly, right? So it's, I don't know, it's just an interesting question because I think her previous music was more straightforward. It was much more straightforward. It was much more trap related. Again, the pussy talk existed there too, and I think that very braggadocious as well. All of her music. I mean, has she ever met a man that she couldn't smash? I don't think so. Like,
I'm not that man.
Right. So there's that, but I think that her music before was more straightforward and was more like simplistic. And now I think there's like a lot more complexity. Like we're talking about Doja Cat, we're talking about Drake, we're talking about Mike Jones, we're talking, SZA. You know what I mean? Like when you're starting to put those artists together into a melange, then there's like a level of complexity that I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm still even trying to think about it now. I'm like, I guess she is still able to stand on top of the influences because these songs are maybe like, I don't know if, is Doja Cat making H&M and is it going to be better? Do you think it's going to be better?
I don't. And I think you're leading me to where I'm at is I think the Drake comparisons are very like accurate because it's Drake. Like you're going to notice Drake right away when you hear him. Yeah. So if it sounds like Drake, everyone's going to notice that. But I don't know that everyone's going to notice the comparison to, H&M or the comparisons to the other artists. Like I think that's for like us as the broad music fan, like we'll catch all of these. But I think some music fans are only going to notice the Drake part. Like even a song like Shrimp and Grits, to me that's like Peach and Eggplant's part 2. Like that's what that sounds like to me. But is everyone going to hear that right away? Probably not. And I think about someone like Tory Lanez Tory Lanez had this whole time where he was doing the Chicks tapes, a lot of covers.
Yeah.
And it was almost serving 2 groups at once. the group that still listens to that music, they still listen to T-Pain and Chris Brown every day. They're like, oh, a new version of the same song. We love that. Because we know there's the fans that like that. They like to hear Lil Durk do the same song over again. They don't mind Lil Baby do the same song over again. So that group of people have no problem with that. Then there's a group that is not listening to that music all the time. And so Tory Lanez feels fresh to them. And I feel like that's where Latto was at, where I can't see all her friends listening to all these artists that we're naming and being like, oh no, I listen to Nudie too much. This is too close to me. Like, I don't see that happening. I think that her fan base is more tuned into her and kind of the artists that are around her, where a couple songs they may say, okay, this is similar, but for the most part, it's gonna sound fresh to them. And I think that is where she's gonna stand alone, because how we have talked about people sampling songs that we don't like them to sample or something similar, almost every time we have a problem with it, and I ask people to listen to the project,
they fucking love it.
I forget which project it was. Maybe it was Meg, but I remember someone said to me their favorite songs on the album were all the samples. And we just did the review saying we hated all the samples. And so hearing that, I'm like, yeah, like, again, critically, we're looking at it differently.
Yeah.
But the average fan is like, okay, Mike Jones.
Yeah.
So I think that she serves those people. I think this is probably the closest album where she can serve like the critical listener and the casual listener. But I think like Latto's fan is a casual listener for the most part. I feel safe in saying that. So I think she serves them pretty well.
Okay. Yeah. So that was my major question leading into this, or not even leading into this. I really thought of it recently. But yeah, that was just really, really interesting to me. I think what else do I really like production wise? Or maybe you want to pass over into lyrics. I kind of been doing them both at the same time as we've been going through the songs.
Yeah, let's go into lyrics. Let's start with Blick some. Like I told you before, I didn't want to carry a gun until Latto said it was the right thing to do. And Blick some, she says, everywhere BP, this door so heavy, like my ass. He don't leave a house without or his mask. Y'all should put y'all boyfriends out on Thursday, they be trash. Norman got you thinking he's a stepper, you so green. Making that shit up, these niggas be so Maybelline. Don't get it confused though, cause he gon' still swing. Damn, it might be the Clayton County in me. Damn, make it clap for you, clap something for me. This is like a song that we don't get enough of.
Okay.
Where
we or you?
I'm just saying we. Okay. I'm saying we because I think like we've had a couple songs like I think Moneybagg Yo had a song like this a few years back where it's like this thug in love type of deal. But I think that this song is actually staying on topic like literally every single line. Like she's staying in the pocket, staying on topic of like I need a thug. Like I need a thug. I'm gonna ride with him. He's gonna ride with me. That's who I'm rolling with. And again, like we hear lines about that where they say like, I want a dude who's tough or things like that. But a full song where that's the whole point of the song. Like if you ain't a thug, if you ain't gangster, we can't roll. Like that in terms of a concept, it seems elementary because we've heard these lines before. But how often do we get a song that's like so direct in terms of the topic of we're staying right here? And then I love how she has these things in here of like dissing other niggas, dissing other people while bigging up her man. Like I like the sprinkle of that in there. Your boyfriend should be out on Thursday, they be trash. Making that shit up, these niggas be so Maybelline. Like these are lines that are not like, oh
yeah.
But
she's a slick rapper though. A lot of the things that she says are really slick.
And I think like we're taking that for granted because these are like back to back to back lines where there are some rappers, this would be their punchline. You know, like they would be leading up to the Maybelline line. She's like, I'm throwing this in here, but we keeping it moving.
Yeah.
And so I think like that is when I realized Latto can really rap because these lines in here of on Thursday they be trash, they may making that shit up, and these niggas be so Maybelline. That those are good lines. And she's not even trying to hide. It's like, listen, this is part of the chorus. This is what I do.
Yeah.
So yeah, Blick some, one of my favorite songs on here.
Yeah, one of my favorites is Shrimp and Grits, sorry.
Shrimp and Guts is crazy.
Well, but after I mention the part that I'm gonna mention, it might as well be called Shrimp and Guts. But she is basically, it's a young nudie style beat, which is like a very carefree, very smoking and riding type of production. But this is literally at the top. Okay. She's just dropping this. The song opens, okay? The song opens and she's just like, let me just throw this out here. Verse 1, again, at the top. Squirting on a nigga, he drinking my piss. Freak bitch, watch him swallow my spit. Talk my shit while I'm taking that dick. Stop playing like I ain't that bitch. Hating on me with no food in your fridge. Big blunts, I'm smoking no cigs. Wide hips, ain't even had kids. Standing on couches, I'm standing on biz. Like in your face is probably, I don't even know if that's even I don't even know if that's accurate enough. Like literally just like punch you in the mouth type of lyrics. This is the top. This is the top of the song, bro.
Hating on me with no food in your fridge is crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. But that, like I said, so just like think of like how in your face the first like 3 bars are. Squirting on niggas, he's drinking my piss. Freak bitch, make him swallow my spit. Talking my shit. I'm still taking that dick. And then to also have like right after a hate on me with no food in your fridge, like that's why I said she's like a slick rapper, because that's kind of just like a slick like fuck you versus the first 3 lines being like the most in your face raps I've read in a very like since like a Cupcake song.
Yeah.
Right. So I like that about her. That's why I kind of said she kind of reminds me of like Lil Kim's, like very in your face, fuck you, but also fuck you with a sexual a connotation to it. So I don't know. I like that song a lot. I think that Young Nudie, I would say it was okay. It was all right.
I don't want to say he mailed it in, but he was kind of chilling.
Yeah, he was kind of chilling. I've heard much better Young Nudies. I reviewed. Yeah. This is when I used to do written reviews.
Yep.
Anyways, I thought was amazing. But I think that this song is good. It definitely has that ride-in, like smoking and riding type of aesthetic to it that I think that she fits in well. That's I think overall when it comes to her and music, right, or in this album, chameleon. She has that chameleon effect, that Drake chameleon effect, where any type of you could put any production underneath her, and she's able to meld. Because this is like I said, like anyways, or like earlier Young Nudie. Yeah, this would be on that type of album. Yeah. And she's still existing on it, and I would say she's outperforming Young Nudie on this track.
Facts.
Right, so I think that that's one of my favorite songs just all around. I got to see Young Nudie doing stuff, which is a rarity nowadays. He's trying. I need him to collaborate with more people. And why he doesn't have more Playboi Carti songs? I feel like, but maybe it would just be gibberish the entire song.
I was gonna say, I think Carti's in a different place now. I think what I really like about her lyrically is her tone, and the way that she raps is like, it really reminds me of the old school of hip hop where you could play this a cappella and there's still something to grab onto with the way that she raps. And I think that that's what makes her stand out so much here is like these bars, the way she's delivering them is like, you almost want to sing along. And sometimes we can't. Some of these lyrics are not for us to sing along to, but I definitely caught myself in some of these, I'm serious. Like some of these lyrics, obviously we can't sing along to, but the way she delivers it is almost like, I want to, so I got to give her credit for that. Yeah. My last set of lyrics, shout out to me, verse 2. And I think like after this project, I want to see how everyone else is rapping, because I think that what she does on here is have a mix of actual showing off that you could rap, as well as showing off that you can make some hits. Yeah. And I think that, a year ago when you were saying Meg is the best rapper out, and I obviously pushed against you because rapping fast does not mean rapping well. We're at a place now where there's enough women who are rapping well and not just rapping fast. Yeah. That it's like, you have to come correct. And shout out to me is a great example of that. She says on verse 2, your dream man is someone you settle for. I sit around and daydream about how I could settle the score. I'm down to stoop lower than most of you hoes' credit score. Don't play coy with me. You know what you headed for. This shit is not a metaphor. This shit we'll be ready for. My sister's all loose cannons, baby, so don't start them. I don't want to hear about menopause or postpartum. I'm not wasting no time begging you hoes pardon. I'm just trying to sip a little wine in the rose garden, be in a silk robe, indulge in aromatherapy. There's like 3 different lines.
The menopause line is so good, man. That's so funny.
That line,
menopause and postpartum.
I automatically thought of her talking about Nicki Minaj. No, it hasn't been confirmed that that's what it is, but that was what I suspected. Rap genius agrees with me. There's that line in there about don't be coy. You can guess who that's about.
Lil Coy Leray.
And it's like, how many times have you talked about being a timestamp record? How many shots has Drake taken at other artists? on a timestamp record.
Yeah.
So even in that, she's doing it the right way. And then I like this part of the end where she says, I'm not wasting no time begging you hoes pardon. I'm just trying to sip a little wine in the rose garden, be in a silk robe, indulge in aromatherapy.
Yeah.
Like, that is a flex of like, fuck all you guys, but I'm here. I'm up here and I'm chilling.
Yeah.
I'm relaxed. I'm sipping wine.
The rose garden?
You can't even... Shout out to the rose.
Yo, this is... Oh, man, I wish... We're talking about a timestamp record. I wish she said something. Remember, we were talking about Drake sometimes just raps about shit you have no idea. Like, her Missy room in the Bebelos, she needed to drop something like that.
She's getting there. She's getting there. I don't think she has a Missy room money yet, but give her a couple of tours. She'll be getting there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this record, to me, really encapsulates the whole project because, I talk first. Verse 1 is where she gets pretty open and talking about herself, what she's been through, like people wanting her for her body and like how her body helps her sell records.
Yeah.
Like how many artists have really talked about that in a real open way? Very few. And then on top of it, going to the second verse and saying, listen, I got bars for all of y'all. And what I like about this is these are bars where she's not mentioning no one's name, but we know what she's talking about.
Well, there is a part where she is like, now it's up with bitches talking spicy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm warring with y'all. I ain't really letting up on y'all till the coroner call. Bye, sis.
Mm-hmm.
Funny thing about it, you can't look at me in my ISIS. I mean,
and that you're from like that is again for the fans who know her real name is Isis.
Yeah.
Even this part saying "Don't play coy with me," it's like this is a song you can, as a casual fan, you can rap to, sing along to, and it's not ruined by the names that are in the song. Kind of like Kendrick Lamar's "Control."
Yeah.
Like it's clear who she's talking about. Like and when they hear it, they gonna know. But it's still even more listenable. And I think my point is it has replay value.
True.
Like a song with this much shots having replay value, that is where the point I'm trying to show is like, we've mentioned Drake 40 times here. Drink every time you hear Drake's name. But that's something that Drake has done a great job of in some of these songs where he's taking shots at rapper after rapper after rapper, but you can hear the song over and over and over again and it still hits. So shout out to me, probably my favorite song lyrically on this project. And I think, to me, if you're talking about what this does for her career, huge.
Yeah,
huge.
I think that one thing that's going to carry on to the end of her career, I want to just like highlight a couple of things. Her choruses, her hooks are good, bro. The hooks are the hook on Liquor. The Liquor turned me to a freak, but like she's got this like lush delivery where it's like at the end of every lyric, it's like Liquor turned me to a freak. Liquor turned me to a freak. The Henny got me off the leash. One more shot, I'm super tweaked, right? That liquor turned me into freak. That liquor turned me into freak. This pimping got him super weak. Boy, come and put that thing on me. All right, so she's still got this very breathy, it's going for a sexy vocalization there, and I think that her hooks throughout the entire project are really good. And those are things that carry. Those are the things that carry you as an artist. Even if your verses are trash, if you have a good hook, you're always gonna get like that feature work. People are always gonna be calling you like on H&M, where she's like, "Oh, you heard it, miserable." Like she's singing it again. It's like a Doja Cat type of track. Those hooks, when those are really good, it got breathy. They got like a lot, very lush and very sweet. Those are the ones that like somebody's always gonna call you. That's a quick 100,000, 150,000. You know what I mean?
And she's versatile. Like like the one that you mentioned, Liquor. Like that's a whole different tone in her voice from a hook like Brokey.
True.
Like her being able to do both of those is like that's real hip hop of using voice as an instrument to make that hook work. Someone used to do that early in their career was Big Sean, where it's like he can have the hype song and be the hook, or he can have a more kind of sultry song and be the hook.
Yeah.
She has that same talent. Like, there's not a thing on here where it's like she only can do one kind of hook. Like, we're seeing, no matter the tone of the song, like, she doesn't need anyone's help. And that's, like, you talk about for her career and the hooks, like, you're talking about her helping other people, her helping herself.
Yeah.
Like, that's what this helps her career is she don't need nobody.
True.
Like, that is probably the most Drake thing of this whole project. Is she showed us like there's no feature she's dependent on. The singles are really her.
Yeah. Like
Tizo Touchdown, Mariah the Scientist, Sierra, Meg the Stallion.
Yeah.
Great features.
Yeah, the Meg one's good.
She don't need none of them.
True.
Like So for her to have that in her career, this is her third project. This is basically, I say, her third or fourth year of like being prominent in the culture. But to be at this point already where you don't need anyone on your hooks and by yourself you can make a hit record, no gimmick, like I think that is where in terms of her career, like it's gonna take her to another level because I think it's more the trust of the fan. I think behind the scenes, I've heard a lot of artists talk very highly of her and her talent, which even to be fair, I wasn't that aware of. But I think what this album does for her career is like as a fan, whether it's a casual or a diehard, you feel way more trust in like, okay,
she can do it.
No matter what the context, I can trust that a project will be good from her. And I think that before that wasn't the case. It's more like, okay, is there a good single here? And I know before she had Big Energy.
Yeah.
And, we were in love with that one, but that one kind of propelled 777, where I think now at this point, she could probably drop a project with no single. I don't think she would do that personally because she's still a singles artist to some degree. But I think as a fan, listening to this project, you're like, there's probably 10 singles on here that you did on your own, and all the solo songs can stand just as good as the songs with features.
Yeah.
So to me, like in terms of her career, musically, she's kind of reached a different place. Celebrity, I think she's mostly in the same place.
Yeah, me too.
But I think in terms of musically, what you believe she can do and what you're expecting.
Yeah, went up a level.
Yeah, because next project, I think we're gonna have expectations. I think even though we always liked her, this project we're kind of like, we're gonna see what it is and hear it out. I think next project, at least me, I'm gonna have expectations.
Yeah, I'm gonna think. Yeah, I would say for the next project, going for is. Oh, you know what? It's also something that's really interesting that I forgot about. That she was on that Jungkook song.
Yeah,
7.
Yeah.
Right. So again, more versatility to what she's doing. I think that this album, when it means for like her career, is just like the versatility is pretty immense. Like
it's real.
I kind of did not expect her to be able to exist and be to thrive on so many different styles of production, so many different types of tracks. Like for, if you told me like 2 or 3 years ago that she was gonna do be able to execute a Drake timestamp song, I would have been taught to be like, you're talking about the wrong artist.
Yeah, right? I bet you're lying.
Yeah, so I think that for her to be able to do that and then to do, Hurt and Miserable, like again, the hook on Hurt and Miserable is so good. Like it's so
that was been in my head a lot.
Yeah, so like for her to be able to do multiple ways by that, and like, those are 2 songs. There's nobody else on the song, it's just her. Right. So I think that for her musically, I agree that there's like the next project. We're gonna be like, okay, so can you concentrate on a certain thing now, or can you meld enough things where it sounds like a consistent ebb and flow throughout the album? Where I think on this album, it felt mashed together, right? Even though that you're a chameleon, the chameleon, a good chameleon gradually is able to change the colors to match things versus having to just be like dropped in certain areas and just like adapt completely. So I think that her next step, I think, would be like, okay, can we push the genres together where it's like a genre band versus a genre mash, which I think she's doing right now.
Before we talk about the cover, I actually disagree with you in terms of her actually doing that. I think that would sound great because she's shown she can kill it whatever she does. But I don't know if she will actually do that because I think that this versatility to do all those things is so rare.
Yeah.
And I feel like most artists who can do all those things rarely just choose a lane and stick to it. Like you even got Nipsey Hussle in the background behind you. Like that album is not all one sound.
Yeah.
Like, Rap Niggas and Dedication are 2 complete different songs. So I think artists who are that talented, who can do all those things, usually don't just say, nah, I'm not going to do that. And the song I think about is one of the R&B songs with Coco Jones is like, now when you see her on an R&B feature, you're like, oh, it's not gonna be a different song. It might still be an R&B song.
Yeah.
And I think before it's like, what's Latto doing on this R&B song? And I think now, no matter what song you see her on, it's like, I'm not seeing Latto thinking it's gonna be pussy rap automatically. Right. It's like, this song may still be whatever genre the other artist is from, and she's gonna find a way to fit in, which I don't know if I felt like that before. And talking about this cover, I feel like this cover, I like it because it's definitely given like the vibe of her music. Like this whole album is like summer car wash. Like I could totally see it playing at a summer car wash. I think the main issue I have is that her face is not in it enough. I think like this cover, we know the project we've seen the cover, but I think if you don't know the project, I don't think you're seeing this being like, that's Latto for sure.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, she's like very famous for her looks and her image, but I think that to the masses, she's not there yet. And I think this would have been a great project to like show them what you look like, your face, your visage. This to me is like, this could be a bunch of different people.
Yeah, I think that I like the cover. I think that I looked at her previous albums, like what they look like, and most of them have her face on it. I want to say almost all of them have her face. They all do,
yeah.
So I'm like, okay, you know, your face doesn't have to be on it every single time, right? And I think that she's also, I mean, we're talking about her rapping ability and production and stuff like that. There's also an element of like kind of wanting your music to like stand on itself. Like you don't even want your face to be the forward facing element of everything that she does. And I think that she even raps about it on Shout to Myself, where it's like she acknowledges, she is aware that people are paying attention to her because of the way that she looks. Right. So I think that her maybe I don't even want to say minimizing because she's still on the cover.
Yeah.
But I would say that it's reduced from something like 777 or Queen of the South, where it's literally she's like doing one of these.
Yeah. I also think with this cover, this is like giving more culture than anything.
Yes,
like she is from Atlanta, so it's like, and it's called Sugar Honey Iced Tea. Like,
yeah, she's trying to tap into that.
This is more like, yo, like I'm from Atlanta. Don't forget that. Like this is, I'm from the culture. So I don't have a problem with the cover. Are you going to be getting this vinyl?
I think it's borderline. I think no. Here's the reason. I think no, because there's too many songs that I'm like, I would just skip it. Like I'm not really a big fan of. But there's a lot of good songs on it. There's a lot of good songs. That's why I'm saying it's borderline. But I would say no. The cover is nice though. The cover is one of those that I would actually want to have because I just think like I like the colors. I like the orange. I like all the colors are popping off of the cover. What about you?
I might. It's borderline for me, but I think I'm more leaning yes.
Okay.
But if I get this too, if I get Put on the Floor, and Sunday Service.
Oh, we didn't even talk about those songs.
I'm not counting them really, but
because they're kind of just like singles. They're on it literally just because they like had some traction, but they didn't feel like part of the album.
No. Like again, shout out to me is the end of the project.
Me too.
But yeah, if I get disc 2 as well, and I can have Put on the Floor and Sunday Service, this would be a cop for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like Sunday Service. I like what was the other one?
Put on the Floor.
Put on the Floor. Not as much, but I like Sunday Service a lot.
You know, liking Put on the Floor says a lot about you.
Guys, for those tuning into the Album of Podcast, I think that the way that I feel about certain songs is evident, is becoming evident. But I think the Cardi B verse is good though. I think maybe it's just like I think Latto's not fully fitting on that track.
You know what I think? Here's the thing, especially with Latto, some of these songs, when you hear them outside, you instantly become a fan.
Yeah, maybe.
And I think like Put It on the Floor is one of those for me where it's like, I liked it when I heard it. It was cool. I heard it outside. I said, this is my favorite song now. So I think there's some songs you need to have that experience with.
You need to be at the club.
Be around some melanin and just hear the people go crazy and you're like, oh.
Okay.
Because I think Ice Spice actually is like the opposite of that. Like Ice Spice playing at certain places is not getting the reaction to Put It on the Floor.
Oh, okay. I got you.
So, anyways, your score. Let's get to it. What's your score for this?
Is there no skips? I already said that there's a couple of songs I would skip. Is there no skips?
It's not a no skips, but it's like, what's the version of no skips where it's like I can play it all the way through? Like I can definitely play it all the way through. There's songs where like, I could skip for sure, but if it's playing in the background and I'm like doing stuff, I don't have to walk to my speaker or tell Google to skip the song.
Right.
So it's whatever's right before no skips.
Okay. Okay. So for the score, you want me to go first?
I want to hear what your score is for this.
Okay. So my score for Sugar Honey Iced Tea by Latto, I want to say is a 7.5 out of 10.
That was tough for you.
Well, I'm like, is it a 7 or a 7.5? If I could do it, and I actually can't because I'm the person who edits the videos, it'd be a 7.25.
not the Olympic score.
It's like I'm the person who actually sets this up. But I would say I would lean more towards a 7.5 because I don't want to do 2.5. I think, and plus rounded up 2.5 is 7.5.
There you go.
I think that it's really good. I think that her versatility is something that I did not really consider, even realizing that she's on 7 with Jungkook. And for her to actually exist on that song, you kind of have to have some versatility as an artist. I think that songs like Big Mama, big time Drake influence, like the way that she is singing. And then she is a Drake influence, and shout out to me, Drake rapping. I think that the influence thing is something that I still am going to have to grip and wrestle with personally to determine whether or not she's wearing the influences, or she's standing on top of the influences, or she's wearing them like a cloak.
Yeah.
Right? I think it would just take maybe like time, or to see her do something more explosive or something. Like there has to be, I don't know. I'm still fighting with that.
You need time. You need time.
And I'm still fine with that. But I think there's a couple of songs like I'm not a Blick person. I am not. There She Go. I said already. I'm not a fan of her. And Brokey, I just like didn't connect with me.
Personal feelings.
Yeah, but I think that. Wait, hold on a second. Wait a minute.
You already said yes.
No. Again, I control the video edit. I'm the person that controls the video edit.
All your audio listeners, you're gonna hear it.
No, I think that. I don't know. It just didn't connect with me. And Ear Candy, I didn't like. But I think that her R&B, when she's doing a SZA, Mariah the Scientist, that type of R&B works well. Some of Sierra's really good. We didn't even talk about that.
Yep.
So she has a lot of good things that she's touching on. I just wanted to figure out whether or not she can really coalesce them. And I think that's my one of the drawbacks where like it felt like different things she was kind of smashing together versus her traversing. Like there's one or two songs where like they transitioned into each other, but it's very rare. There's a 17 song album and I'm talking about 2 songs. Yeah. Right. So that's where it is. I think it's 7.5. I think it's good. Her raps are good. We talked about that. Production is really good. We talked about that too. So it's really like the nitty gritty is where she's like losing points for me personally. Yeah. What about you?
For Latto's Sugar Honey Iced Tea, it's an 8 for me.
Okay.
This album was actually an 8 on the first listen.
Yeah.
Like this album is really good. Did not see this coming. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I did not know Latto had this in her bag. But I'm pleasantly surprised.
Me too.
I'm happy that it's as good as it is. This is one of the best rap albums of the year to me. And I think that I did not expect that at all from hearing this project. But to me, like, there's not that many rap albums better than this. If I'm being honest, in any kind of subgenre of rap. So to have Latto have one of the best rap albums of the year, and we're in August, is very, very surprising. I'm just excited to see how this affects kind of the rest of the year going forward. Not only from female MCs, but MCs in general. Excuse me. I think this is like the most like party-ish rap album that has like good raps on it. And I don't know how many other rap albums this year are like turn up, fun vibes, but have someone rapping this well. I can't think of an album that has both of those.
Yeah, because she's fun to rap along with, too.
Yeah.
The music is fun to rap.
And a lot of these you can play at the party, like Brokey, There She Go. Like, to have that as well as, like, good rapping on the same project, like, I don't know how many albums we had this year that have that. So, to me, this is one of the albums of the year in terms of hip-hop. Very, very impressed. Latto, you have a new fan in me. I gave Latto a follow on Instagram this past week.
Wow. That's a big-time cosign.
No, for sure. I follow, like, 10 artists on Instagram. Latto is one of them. So
off the strength of the music too. Wow, look at you.
Yeah.
Look at you being distinguished and a man and a gentleman and a scholar. Following.
Depends who you ask. But let us know in the comments. What do you think of Latto's album? We clearly think a lot of it.
Yeah, it's good.
Let us know what you guys think. Of course, you can find us on the interwebs at Album Mode Pod, on Instagram at Album Mode Pod, on TikTok at Album Mode Pod, on Twitter. Leave us a rating. 5 stars, not a single star less, of course, on all your podcast platforms. And all my people on YouTube, like this video, hit the subscribe button, and let us know what you think. And until next time.
Wait, for all the Canadian listeners.
Oh, we're doing that right now? Okay.
No, I was just saying, for all the Canadian listeners, we might be doing a little giveaway, a little teaser on something we might be giving away.
Announcement to the announcement.
Right. This is the announcement to announcement. So if you're Canadian, I want to make sure you're tapping in to us on social.
Yes. If you're Canadian, find us on social because this is going to be for the social people to win something.
Yeah, we're going to be giving away something. We'll announce it probably on the next pod.
Yes. Because yes. That's about a good time period. If you love live music and you want to win something, follow us on all your social platforms.
Yeah, and again, for the Canadians, this is for Canadians. Shout out to Canada.
Yeah.
Shout out to Canada at the Olympics. So we'll also be talking about it on the next pod.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, make sure if you're Canadian, make sure you tap and follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter at Album Mode Pod. Make sure you're following us on TikTok at Album Mode. And make sure you're following us here on YouTube because again, the giveaway will be happening soon. On YouTube, and it will be happening for you audio listeners. It will be happening there audio as well. Like you'll be able to tap in.
Yes.
So thank you everybody for tuning into Album Mode. And Adriel, make sure you know yourself and know your worth.
Later days.